$844.46 million. That's the price of the world's most expensive boat, otherwise known as the Russian Dilbar yacht. But that's also how much money the first Guardians movie made. So how much money is this actually? How does it size up in comparison to other Marvel movies? What roadblocks, what milestones do they have to break in order to achieve their success? And the question we all want answered is how much money, profit, did these Guardians movies make? Because these two characters in particular are not even real. They don't exist. But they took our hearts and our wallets. So in this video, we're going to determine whether or not the Guardians franchise was a successful investment for Disney or Marvel, whatever corporation. We'll see how much money was involved and how much money was made. And also take a look at all the fiascos along the way, which there's a bunch here, guys. And to top it off, I'll show you where the majority of the money is actually made. And I'll give you a hint. It is not from their movies, surprisingly. This Empire of Wealth started back in 2014. Back whenever Frozen was a thing and the biggest song on the charts was Happy by Will Ferrell. Yep. No, Pharrell Williams. Guardians of the Galaxy from 2014 was directed by James Gunn, as we all know, but you probably don't know, he also worked on the Scooby-Doo live-action franchise. So he already knew how to handle CGI characters and awkward leader guys with deadly fighting girlfriends. You get the picture. But anyways, getting fiscal with it, Guardians at that time was given a budget of $170 million that it did struggle to receive. It's great that it was funded because that was an amazing movie, but the story is not very clear because Forbes reported a year later that the movie was actually over budget at a total of $232.3 million. So just randomly reporting an over budget of $60 million. I mean, it can be accredited to reshoots and VFX, CGI, all that stuff. Of course it could be, but 40% of the original budget, like that's a lot of money, whoever you ask. Could it be fiscal lies? Who knows? But here's where things start to get a little better for the Guardians. So this film made an amazing $773 million, making it the third highest grossing movie of 2014. It literally beat Captain America the Winter Soldier that was released that same year and had the exact same budget. And that's crazy because Captain America is literally an icon. But like, how is it that these nobodies come out of nowhere and take everyone's spotlight? Both Captain America and the Guardians films were after the Avengers, so Captain America should have been way better off having starred in the Avengers to now make their second movie compared to the Guardians that didn't have a previous film like that. They were straight up on an even playing field. So that's no excuse. It could be the stunning visuals, overworking your VFX artists, threatening job loss. They may come in handy from time to time, I guess. I don't know. And then you can give Vin Diesel $15 million for saying, "I am Groot." Who knows? But in contrast, reports show that Zoe Saldana was paid a whopping, incredible, game-changing, wealth-creating sum of, drumroll, $100,000. So things just don't add up because keep in mind, 5 years before this, she starred in James Cameron's Avatar. She was a leading role. She was the crazy lady with the bow, with the bow and arrow. But she got $4 million for that role. Talk about a fat paycheck. I mean, $4 million is insane. Was she really only paid $100,000 for this entire movie? Other deals were made? Doesn't add up. But these news stories always seem to come up, and then later they're debunked. And even later, the debunking was debunked. And then you get into endless cycle, then you get debunkception. But it makes you wonder how twisted the film industry actually is. Anywho, let's not get too cynical on the world. Just hit that like button and that subscribe button and everything will be all better. You remember 2011, back when spiked hair was a thing? Well, that is also when Thor, the God of Thunder, made his debut to the MCU. I believe that's the most accurate comparison we can make since Thor is a space Viking and the Guardians are like space pirates, so kind of similar, space and space. Pirate Viking, I don't know how similar that is. But anyway, Thor came in with a more modest budget of $150 million compared to the Guardians' $170. We already talked about the over budget, but regardless, $150 million is still a well-off budget. But when it comes to the box office, it wielded a solid $449 million. And this is really impressive because keep in mind, the Avengers movie had not existed at this point in time, but it didn't hit those Guardians numbers, So there is no real good metric to compare these two evenly other than just opinion. So what do you think? Do you think that if Avengers had not existed, the Guardians would have done as great as they did? Or do you think that the Guardians was just that great of a film that standalone without a previous Avengers movie, they would have pulled in the same numbers? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Let's see how Thor performed overall to get a good foundation for reviewing the remaining 2 Guardians movies, and we'll go through them quick. So, in the first movie, like we said, Thor, budget, 150 million, made 449 million. Not too shabby, blah, blah, blah. But Thor the Dark World, the sequel, which many people have their different opinions on how good of a movie this was. Regardless though, they had a budget of 170 million and pulled in $644 million globally. So it was an increase, but big money rolls in at this next film, Thor Ragnarok. Ragnarok had a budget of 180 million, but it managed to produce a whopping 854 million worldwide.
Damn, son.
Which that's crazy. I remember this being like the most hyped movie of the decade, like seeing trailers of the Hulk breaking down that door. It was insane. But Guardians Volume 2, you won't believe how much dinero this movie actually made. So Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 came out in 2017 as the sequel for the first one, of course. They got a better budget this time of $200 million. And what did they do with all that $200 million? They pulled in fat stacks, totaling $863 million at the box office. That's like literally another Russian yacht. They got 2 yachts now, 2 movies, 2 yachts. This did end up being the Guardians' most successful film as far as performance and money goes. And that has a lot to do with the fiascos we mentioned earlier, where James Gunn was actually fired from Disney back in like 2018 because of some old tweets. Yeah, the usual old tweets come back up to haunt you, cancellation, all that stuff. So now we're going to spill the tea. We're going to spill the beans. We're not going to spill the salt because that's bad luck. All right, I'll stop. So back in 2011, 2012, he tweeted some crazy stuff that I know he's a weird guy, but reading through it, it is a little weird. The tweets are on screen if you want to just look at them, but go look at them on your own time if you're that interested. It's pretty. You'll see what I mean. Disney ended up letting him go as director for Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but as we fast forward a few years, he was actually brought back on to the studio to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And my, was this film chef's kiss masterpiece. It was just great. It was given a budget of 250 million. It dropped on May 2023, and this was the biggest investment of the series, and it pulled in $842 million total. So it did make less than Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but to be fair, it was delayed for a long time, and with what we just talked about, the old tweets, you've been waiting for the results, and here they are. So total, the Guardians franchise generated $2.5 billion, and like, dang, that's a lot of money. But now that I looked up Russian yachts, I kind of feel like for thousands of people to be working on it, millions in advertising, so much influence with people loving the movie, all that crazy stuff, just to only get 3 or 4 yachts, like, I don't know, and that, it makes you really think about money. Like, that's just insane. All right, moving forward. So Guardians budget total 620 million, and they made total 2.5 billion. That's about 25% budget to make the 2.5 billion. Thor had 500 million budget total, 3 films, and made a total of 1.95 billion, which is again just around that 25% of a budget. So when you think of the performance, these are actually performing just about the same. The only difference is the Guardians made more total money, and that's what we care about here. We all care about the dinero. But that doesn't take away from the fact that these 2 films literally perform just about the same when it comes to budget and revenue generated, which is crazy. But I have something even crazier to share with you guys. There's data from 2020 that MCU merchandise has earned Disney up to 2020 $41 billion. That's literally more than every single Marvel movie's profit combined. So when you think about it, these movies are actually just huge advertisements for their merchandise. All their toys, all their t-shirts, all their action figures. We can see that Marvel isn't a film business. Marvel is actually a product business selling merchandise through these large scale advertisements when you see where most of their money's coming from. So that's just about the video. Let me know what you think about it in the comments, and welcome to the channel. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, you should hit it right now. Hit that like button and check out these other videos that are similar topics that you might like. And as always, Jesus loves you.